We are back with the devastatingly incredible Acid Betty! I mean, like a villainess from another dimension.
Yes,
it's so good.
Anything evil, fantastic.
So, Acid Betty, when you were a kid, boy, you were born in Riverside.
Yes.
So you're an LA lady originally.
Yes.
Who knew?
I did.
I did not. I always thought of you so much New York.
No, well, I feel very New York. And actually, my whole family is from New Jersey, so that energy, I think, is in my family.
Right.
And my grandparents are very New York. And our grandparents were very headstrong, so I think I had that energy. That's why I moved to New York, because LA was kind of slow to me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be more creative, so I was like, I'm out of this LA place.
Now,
and now I'm back.
You're back. You're here, right in Hollywood at Hey Qween.
With all these New Yorkers.
I know. We're all here now. Yeah. Everybody's escaping New York,
Crazy.
literally. Now, when you were a kid, or a teen, were you like sneaking out to West Hollywood to try to put on looks and conflama and find yourself?
No, I didn't do any of this drag until I moved to New York.
Right, because as a kid, you wanted to be a special effects artist,
right.
which is pretty close, though,
well,
right?
I was doing gore makeup.
Really?
Yeah, so I was doing just blood and gore and zombies and prosthetics and cut off fingers and yeah, so I want to go to the clubs with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you could win Dracula with that.
Right. Now I should.
You should.
That.
I mean, get back into it.
Maybe I'll win that show.
Oh. So what was when did you come out, or when did you find out that you know that you were gay?
That I was gay?
Uh-huh.
Well, I came out basically when I asked my mother what I should do about the guy I liked. And that's when she realized that I liked a guy.
Oh.
But I don't think I really claimed as being gay. I was just kind of being weird and awkward. I mean, even my first drag name was Straight Kate, so it wasn't like I came flying out.
Straight Kate?
Yeah.
What was Straight Kate's look?
I was a doll, and I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt had just come out.
Wow.
And so that was the number. And I actually won the competition. That was at Oz Supper Club in Buena Park.
Oh, man, Buena Park.
Steaks and seafood. Yeah. Pun intended.
Now, your inspirations for early drag during Straight Kate, who was that? Was that Lee Bowery and people like that then, or was that later?
No, that was later. I definitely was into Lee Bowery, Joey Arias, and all that stuff as a kid. I just didn't really think it was tangible, even though I wanted to be that.
Right.
It was only till New York when I met Sherry Vine, and that's when I kind of like bursted real fast into this freak that I am today.
So how old were you when you left LA?
Oh God, you're gonna age me.
Okay, you could keep it mysterious.
20s.
You were young.
It was 20s.
You were in your 20s.
Yeah, I wasn't that young. I was 20s.
Right, okay.
Yeah, 23, 24, something.
So you came to New York with the idea of doing what initially?
I just wanted to be more creative. I was a professional dancer here. I was teaching at Millennium Dance Complex. It's big here in North Hollywood.
Yeah. So you're having a very LA life.
Oh yeah, Britney Spears, J-Lo, they were all big.
You were wearing off-the-shoulder Juicy Couture, sweatsuits.
Fancy. Yeah, and I was in a Jeep and I was screaming. It was fabulous. Big old faggot. But then I realized it wasn't very creative, and so I was like, I want to get out of here. And so I just went to New York with I don't know, to be more creative. That was it. That was it.
What was the first club you went to? Do you remember?
Plaid. I can remember a few. Plaid, Duvet, because Pamela Anderson was at Duvet. This is when like celebrities were still going out. Yeah. And that's why I dressed up, because we couldn't get in unless you were a celebrity or you looked like this. Yeah. That's why we started dressing up. Yeah, that's why I started doing it.
Because Duvet was where you had the bed, so you could lie in your bed with your champagne and your bottle service.
Yeah. Come on, you have to remember some of this. You were there for all that.
I do remember it, sweetie.
Right. I
think I was one of the promoters on the first night of that Duvet party.
That's what I'm saying. Like you were.
I remember. It's fuzzy, sweetie. It's fuzzy, but I remember.
And then the area party. I think you were.
Oh yeah, I was part of that too.
I dressed. Yeah, that was where I started dressing up every Friday.
Right.
That was it. That was the kicker.
Yeah, and that's where you guys met. You and Adam.
Yes.
Yes, that's the party that I was going to perform at when she put me in drag from that picture.
Yeah. There you go.
Correct.
So now you first became friends with Sherry Vine's boyfriend. Was that how you met Sherry?
Good information. That means someone talked with my sister. That's true.
And so you met him out at the club.
I met him because a friend of mine loved Sherry Vine, so we would just go see the Sherry Vine show. And then Merrick was his name, and he was weird because I didn't know it's because he didn't speak English very well. But he ended up being fabulous. And then one night he dressed up with a mohawk and some makeup, and I was like, don't you ever do that without me again. We're doing this next week. And that was it. We started dressing up as twins, and then I started doing like the more feminine version.
Right.
And he would do the more masculine version, and then we just did that every Friday.
I love it.
Yeah.
My God, that is because I do remember when you would come into the room, honey, you would loom over the room.
It was always about being the biggest, most colorful, brightest. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
It wasn't about getting paid or anything. It was just about be as largely obnoxious. Yeah. as possible.
And you would be working during the day doing graphic design, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
And then you would, like, how would you fit all that in so that your schedule?
Well, even my boss was saying, you know, he didn't want me to have my lip ring in and certain things, and from time to time I'd roll in with mascara on and stuff, and he'd be like, your lips. I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize, like, I had makeup on and my lip ring. I don't know, I just managed, I was young.
Just the power
That's
of
when you
youth,
have energy,
darling, yes.
Now I don't know if I could do it. Or if it's even worth it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, it did get you where you wanted to go. I mean, you were hosting all over New York.
Yes, I had like 3 to 4 nights I was hosting. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You were on that peppermint gummy bear train where y'all would have different gigs in one night and you'd be everywhere.
Yes, literally, when we dressed up, you would always do minimum 5 places.
Yeah.
Like you would have to at least work or you have to be seen by 5 places. That was just the thing.
To make it worth it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, we call it like Tour to New York. Just always like have to go 5 places, be seen, do your thing.
Yeah. So then, I remember Acid Disco, right? When was that?
That was a party that I did because it was kind of drab, and it was in the basement of Lucky Chang's. And it ended up being like more freaks, like more dressed up than normal people. And a lot like Suzanne Barsh and Michael Formica were getting a little like jealous because they were the freak parties, and I happened to have like this massive freak following.
You really did have like the youngest, freshest kids who were like pumping out those looks with you.
I snuck a lot of them in. They're now like 21 now, and that was 10 years ago.
I know.
It's true.
There's so many people who worked for me where I'm like, how are you just now turning whatever? I was like, oh, damn, you started working for me sneaky when you were 17 or some shit.
There's a cat, Logan Hardcore. He'll appreciate the call out. He was hanging out with us when he was 15.
Right.
So the only way he got into the clubs was to dress in drag so they wouldn't ID him. So he was doing it for 6 years before he was even legal to do it.
He's like, I'm just now 21.
At 21, he was like, I'm jaded and over this.
Forget about this, Betty. I don't need this anymore.
That's it. You know who's like that is Aquaria.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's 21 now, and she's been
doing it.
Suzanne Barshing for years.
Oh my God. Now, Project Runway was something where you got a little bit of shine. From because that one was a famous episode. RuPaul was one of the judges.
Was the surprise guest, and I was like famous after that. Like Google, you know, it wasn't as we didn't have the internet was as big then, but Google was massive then, and Acid Betty was like the number 23 term that day. Acid Betty, and then the next one was what is an Acid Betty?
Wow.
In the world.
What is an Acid Betty?
Yeah.
Because that was Project Runway Season 5.
Season 5.
Was that still on Bravo, right?
Bravo was the last time it was on Bravo.
Right, so that was huge
Massive.
then.
All of New York, I remember I was having a viewing party at my place, and I was at the grocery store, and I was asked 4 times if I was going to run home and see the Drag Queen episode. Because they didn't even know who the Drag Queen, it was like RuPaul's Drag Race. No one knew who the Drag Queens were going to be.
Right.
They just knew it was Drag Queens, it was going to be on TV.
Amazing. Yeah, that was a big thing.
And Ru had not done RuPaul's Drag Race then. What was funny, I don't know if this is going too long, after filming Project Runway, they had an open call for RuPaul's Drag Race 1 at Lips, and I went to just pick up my friends.
Right.
And they asked me to do a videotape, and I actually did a videotape just sitting there, so that was technically my first audition.
Interesting.
Because I was just there, because I was working the gig, so I was picking my friends up, and we were going to do another gig that night.
Right, classic New
But
York
in my head,
City.
I'm like, I don't need this show. I have Project Runway. Like, what is
Oh my God. So that really bumped you up in New York. People knew who you were. Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, it was literally, I couldn't go anywhere. I was like, girls would be like, do the like kimono walk and be like, I can do your walk. I couldn't go anywhere. It was massive. And I think I was on it for like 3 seconds. Like, it wasn't that long at all.
That goes to show you how hungry everyone was for anything drag, even a dot of drag.
No, it was crazy.
On a regular network, people went nuts for.
Who knew other than Ru?
You talked about in the past when you were doing this and sort of giving your androgynous look in New York that people were giving you a lot of pushback, other drag queens.
Drag queens, the press. trannies,
Wow.
everybody. It was actually the trannies that I saw. See, I use that word loosely again. But it was actually, I was the only drag queen that would host trans parties because I was this weird segue between drag and I guess they didn't feel as offended or something by my drag. Now it's a total different world. So that's what's like when I say that, it's like, what the hell is he talking about?
Right.
But then it was like we were pushing down borders. I remember I did this, it was a fierce party, I was the only drag queen, and the press was there, it was like New York Times or something, and he kept going, this isn't drag, this is not a woman, this isn't, I don't understand why he's at this party.
Wow.
And Dina Delicious kept on going, no, this is what's current. She is beautiful. She is a drag. And I'm like, it's okay. It was Alana Starr and Dina Delicious. I mean, I had...
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. What were we talking about?
Well, we were talking that people were giving... It's hard to even imagine it now, looking at you, thinking like, this is drag. But I remember back then, people were like, well, that is not it.
Right, because I wouldn't tuck, and I was very muscly, and I would like to show off my arms, and I didn't believe that drag was just a beautiful woman. I felt like, a fantasy is a fantasy. It's a mix between male and feminine, and strength is everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the world has come to that now. I think we're more there now, right?
Yes, yes.
Am I wrong? I don't know.
Lady Red?
Lady Red, I'm looking at you.
We here. We here. I mean, that's the great thing about drag. You can transfer in and out of spiritual intentions without offending a bunch of motherfuckers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just let it glide, let it slide. It's almost like sex with your ex, but not as messy.
All right, we'll be back with more from Ask Is Betty after this. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to like it and comment it and subscribe to our podcast. Do it all! See you in a minute.
Hey Qween! Hello, children. To see part 3 of this interview, click here. To see more Hey Qween fabulousness, click here. And don't forget to subscribe, bitch! Hey! Hey! Hey!